it's Leah Remele with GopherProPhotos.com, and you are here for another episode of Video Friday. Today I am super excited because I have the lovely and fabulous Shay Cochrane with me. Now, this is super exciting because Shay is absolutely amazing at what she does, which is creating gorgeous stock photography. And I'm gonna bet that you have seen her stock photography many times. You probably just haven't realized it yet. So Shay is going to be talking to us about how to take great photos of your products to show off to your clients and just how to use stock photography to build your brand. Okay, it's going to be awesome. So Shay, welcome. So excited to have you.
Thank you.
I'm going to quickly put my phone on silent. Sorry. Okay, so Shay, really quickly, tell us about your journey from going from just starting photography, doing other things, to getting into stock.
So the 60-second Cliff Notes version of that story is that I have been a wedding and portrait photographer for almost maybe 9 years now. And then 2 years ago, actually maybe only a year and a half ago, I decided through kind of a chain of events that I really didn't want to do wedding and portrait photography anymore, and that I wanted to do commercial and product styled photography. And in one crazy night, I took all of the wedding and portrait images down off of my website and just kind of jumped headfirst into this industry of commercial photography and styled photography that I knew nothing about. And it's been amazing and crazy since then. So that is a very abbreviated version. The wedding and portrait photographer turned product commercial photographer.
Well, I personally am so glad you made that change because I love your photography. Okay, so let's jump in and talk about this. So first, let's see. Help give some ideas and some tips for taking stock photography or taking product photography. So photographers, you guys have these amazing albums and prints and canvases and these gorgeous things that come into your studio before you deliver them off to your clients. And this is an excellent opportunity to give you content on your blog, to give you beautiful images to use for your product guides and for different ways to get new clients excited about what's possible. So how can they better photograph these beautiful products they have?
Well, the great thing is that for your reader base, it's primarily photographers. So you already essentially know how to get great images technically. So what I would love to see you guys do is be able to help your clients to connect with the products that you're actually offering, whether it's albums or photo boxes or gallery prints or that kind of thing, helping them to see those products as a part of their life. And we do that through creating images that they essentially want to live in, images that they connect with, because we know that texts and font and PDFs and design files, that kind of medium allows our client to connect with us to a certain level, but images really are what create more of a sensory experience for the client and can translate into literally higher sales of albums or whatever it is that you're actually trying to sell. So some little things to think about. Obviously, there's some of the technical side of things that you want images to be well lit, natural light if possible, bringing your products next to a window, putting them on a nice clear white surface, using a bounce to fill light opposite the window. These are all kind of technical things that you can do to get better product images. But some of the other things that are really helpful to think about is creating scenes in which, I'm going to keep kind of using the same terminology, like creating scenes that your client wants to live in. So if you're asking your client to invest a large sum of money in, let's say, a wedding album or an album from their portrait session, then why not create an image that shows that album on a coffee table or on a desktop that has other props and items in it that are gonna connect with them, that are gonna make the client, allow the client to more clearly see this product as a part of their actual life. So it's the difference between saying that you offer a gallery wall print versus showing that you offer a gallery wall print in a situation that really is going to actually connect with what your ideal client's aesthetic preferences are and that kind of thing. So I guess like a very tangible example of that is if Leah sells wedding albums. She can say that she sells wedding albums, and she can bring a wedding album to a consultation, but as it relates to having blog post material and website material and Instagram material that keeps those products in front of her ideal client, why not photograph that album in her gorgeous office with gold and pink accents that really already resonate with her ideal client, and just kind of create a scene for your potential clients to live in, and really kind of create an emotional attachment to those products and not just a functional attachment. Oh, it'd be nice to have an album. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. So do you think when going to photograph these different products, should there be a level of consistency to go throughout their brand? So, for example, should they choose, okay, with my brand, a white desk, and so I'm always going to use a white background, or for my brand, wood, and so I'm always going to use this piece of teak or this particular coffee table, or is it okay to switch it up? What do you think about that?
I think as creatives, sometimes we can get a little hung up on those kinds of details, to the point that we don't take the pictures. Because we're like, I don't know, what kind of scene should I create? So yes, for the sake of getting it done, I would say choose a consistent look that you want to use. And always, I would say connect that to your brand. So for you, if we're using you as the example, a white desk would be the perfect, consistent aesthetic to use. So for both of those reasons, like yes, to create a cohesive brand aesthetic, and then also just to take out the creative guesswork of what should I do with this? How can I make this amazing? We want every image that we post to be super amazing, and that can kind of like stop the creative process. So deciding I'm going to stick within my brand palette can really help to just actually take the scariness out of, well, how am I going to set up this album or this print and make it actually look good? So yes, the answer is yes.
Okay. Sounds great. And just a little side note for people, when I've done different stylings, I've used white poster board. So,
yeah.
I mean, you really don't have to feel like, often my desk is too cluttered to use it.
Right.
And so I've totally just used white poster board. So just, I mean, you can, I'm sure your own brains are already spinning and you're thinking of things you have that you could use. But we don't have to go so far above that it never gets done. Because Shay is so right. Just do it.
Exactly, and not all of our lighting is perfect in our office, so opting for a movable desktop or backdrop is really going to serve you well, because if you're going to shoot on white or on black or on any specific color, make sure that it's portable so that you can take it over to the window, so that you can take it outside to actually get the lighting that you need to really make sure that all touch points of your brand with your client, including Instagram and Facebook posts, are at the level of quality that you're promising to deliver to your clients for their actual portraits or wedding work.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, so how can we as photographers bring stock photography into our brand? We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but
yeah.
What other ideas can you give us?
Well, obviously, I think one of the biggest, when you talk to any photographer, one of the biggest frustrations is, what's the first thing they say? There's a million people doing photography. There's a million people doing exactly what I'm doing. Everybody's a photographer. Everybody can purchase stock websites. You know, there's obviously the resources available to everyone to grow their craft. So the issue that we all struggle with as creatives and as business owners would be being unique and then connecting with our clients in an authentic way. In a world where you can buy a logo on Etsy, how do we create something authentic? Then how do we connect authentically with an actual ideal client out there that's going to be a good fit for us? So I would maintain that one of the great ways that we can do that these days is incorporating styled stock photography. And stock photography is not a new concept. Styled stock photography is kind of new and is gaining popularity. So since we're talking to creatives, since all of you guys out there are photographers already, you already have a leg up on everyone else in that you can actually execute these types of things. But it goes back to kind of what I was saying before. Fonts and color palettes for your brand and textures and patterns are going to go only so far to connect your client. It will help them identify your aesthetic and relate to your aesthetic. But images actually allow your client to experience it on more of a sensory level. So it's the difference between if I created a logo for a chef that has a hand-drawn picture of a plate of delicious food versus a picture of that plate of food in a restaurant with lighting, with propping that really draws them in, and all of a sudden they're having a sensory experience with your brand. They can smell and taste and feel the setting. So we can do the same thing as photographers. Each of you has a unique brand, and whether or not that's been fully developed from a graphic design standpoint or not, you can still look around your room, look in your closet, draw inspiration from the things that you have, your favorite shirt that best represents you, or the things that you decorate your office with, and create styled stock photography, so images that are beautifully styled and contain actual props and that kind of thing, but don't contain any products that are being sold. They would help to kind of enhance your brand. So it's kind of hard to talk about these things in like a theoretical sense.
Versus being able to see them. All you all need to do is go to Shay's website, which I will, of course, have that link in the blog post with this video. And then you'll see why I became obsessed, because what she's talking about with this whole putting yourself like you want to be there, that was what was happening. I was like, I want to be in every single one of these situations. I want this to be my office. I want this to be my desktop. And I have to tell you, so everyone's been seeing on Instagram, I've been doing my office makeover. Seriously, so many of Shay's stock photography inspired me with my office. I'm not even kidding. Like, I totally was like,
that's so sweet.
It's so true. Like, I was like, I want my desk to look like her stock photography. Like, that was the goal.
And it helps your clients. So if we're just talking about desktops, it helps your client to see your personality and a real tangible brand aesthetic, so that they can actually really connect with it. They want it to be their desktop in the same way. And then you can also really creatively incorporate elements into your brand. So I just recently had my website redesigned, and there was an image of a beautiful black and white striped clutch that had all these kind of gold,
I love that one,
nuggets coming out of it. So we've used that image with the gold nuggets, we'll call them, and my graphic designer has used it throughout my brand in website buttons and little custom elements of my site. So you can use flowers, you could use popcorn, you could use food, you could use whatever it is that really is you and is unique. Photograph it in a way that it's usable within your brand aesthetic and within your graphic design pieces, on business cards, on print collateral pieces, on Instagram announcements. And all of a sudden you've given your clients just one more way to connect with, relate to, and identify your brand as a unique photographer.
And I think what I love about it is it gives them this opportunity to feel like they know you a little bit better, because they feel like they're seeing into your world, into who you are, and then that helps them connect that much more profoundly and feel safer booking that session and choosing you ultimately as the photographer.
Absolutely. Because we all know, like, talent is not scarce these days. There are a lot of talented photographers. They have access to good cameras. So really it's your uniqueness and your ability to communicate that uniqueness that is going to, at the end of the day, second to skill, it's going to be what sets you apart and what actually makes you memorable and creates client loyalty and comfort and trust with your brand.
I feel like that needs to be a quote. Like, we're going to have a quote that everyone can do, where talent is not scarce. Uniqueness is what sets you apart and is going to make you stand out. I love it. Okay, that was awesome. So we have an awesome surprise for all of you guys. We have a free download that Shay has created that is her top 4 tips for using stock in your brand. So that's going to be available as well underneath the download, with one other very, very special thing that you guys will have to go to the blog post to see. So, Shay, thank you so much for being here and spending time with me. We love having you here. I know everyone is going to love getting to take this all in and get to know you. So, make sure you guys jump over to the blog post so that you can get all this extra special that Shay has waiting for you. Remember, we carry our cameras to create, but we created our businesses to thrive. So don't just survive, thrive.